We're back, episode 3 of Flash Reviews. I want to thank my family and only kidding guys. I just wanted to say that Lightning Cave is still operable, but I'll also be doing Flash Reviews when I get a game to review. Sometimes I'll be doing both, sometimes it'll be one or the other. But I wanted to let you know that the Lightning Cave is not dead. Anyway, back to the review. This week we're taking a look at Swordbreaker. Swordbreaker is a story game where you choose what happens from scene to scene. Remember those books you used to get as a kid where it was like, turn to page 6 if you've killed the ogre, turn to page 20 if you decided to feed him breakfast or whatever? It's exactly like that, but in video game form. You start as a knight. It's a classic story of saving the princess, getting through the dungeons, and saving the day. First off, I just want to say I managed to complete the story in an hour. That prefaces my review quite heavily because, as you can imagine, an hour of gameplay, even for $4.99, that's loose. But obviously there's a lot of replayability choosing these different paths. I've never been a fan of 2D story games, so my opinion is going to be quite biased on this. I've decided to avoid reviewing these sorts of games because I like to actually control something and move it around. If I want to read a story, I'll read a book or a comic. But nonetheless, for a game that was my first story game, I enjoyed it. The art's pretty cool and the story is okay. I can't complain, but I can't help feeling it's taken some influences from elsewhere. My precious. Let's crack on with the game itself, shall we? Most of the time you've got 1, 2 or 3 options you'll see from this gameplay, should we call it, on screen. What to do: you can fight the dog, you can eat the mushroom, you can pick up the ring, etc, etc. Essentially making these choices to make your way through the castle to get the princess. Obviously before the princess there are lots of choices you have to make. And the game makes it quite interesting the way that these choices can affect the story later on. For example, there's a Cerberus dog pretty early on, and you can choose, I say early, it's an hour. You can choose to basically make friends with the dog, and then it helps you through a maze later on. And because I made that choice, I never had to tackle the maze. And I like that. And there's also choices with items. You can choose to pick up items and they will aid you later on in the story with certain events. For example, the golem looking guy took the ring that I found. It's really hard to review this game because, like I said, I enjoyed it. For my brief hour of gameplay, I enjoyed what it was. Like I said, I didn't see the point in playing it after I completed it because I didn't enjoy it that much. And like I said, $4.99 maybe is a bit too much. It essentially becomes a memory game where you have to remember what you've done in that scene to get past it. So if you've got a good memory, you're going to get through it quicker because you remember what mistakes you made last time. Yes, of course, you can take different paths, you can explore different options, you can find out what happens if you do everything. The fights are quite exciting in a way because you can choose to wait or attack or kick, and there are different options, and obviously depending on what you choose, the enemy might kill you. For example, I decided to kick a Minotaur in the head. Obviously its horn went through my boot and I died. The Cerberus, I decided to fight instead of dodge and it bit my head off. There was some radioactive material and I decided to grab it and it burned my skin off. And there are some fairly gory images. Basically there are lots of different ways to die, and I can't help but think of another game when I was exploring medieval dungeons and I kept dying. I can't help but feel that this could have been an amazing game if it was just a 3D game. If it was just a cheap kind of moving parts game, it would have felt like Dungeons & Dragons where you're making choices and getting through, and depending on what you've done, something different happens. Like a David Cage game, but set in the medieval times. That would have been awesome. But for me, the picture after picture story that would have served just as well as a book is not enough, and the fact that I can complete an hour also is pretty poor. But it's only $4.99. I had fun with it, and the story is interesting enough. It's hard for me to score it, it really is, because like I said, there's not much there, but also it's cheap, so it's got pros and cons all over the shop. I'm going to give Swordbreaker a 6.5 out of 10. That's it. I can't say any more about the game. I may put it on again to see what other options are there, but you know, I'd much rather play Doom or Devil May Cry or the 4 million other games I've got to complete. Thanks as always for watching Flash Reviews. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out all my other videos on YouTube, check out everyone else's videos on YouTube. Don't forget to tune into our UFC battle, streaming 3 or 4 times a week at the moment. And obviously don't forget to check out the site where you'll find all your latest news and reviews. I've been Javier, have a good afternoon.